Hello, fellow fantasy sports fans. Welcome to MFSN, the Hub's fantasy football strategy show, every Thursday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 1:30 p.m. Pacific. I'm Dr. Dan Ratner, and I'm here as always with Kasey, Vlad to the Bone, Scheinvold, and Ross the Boss.
Hey, everybody. I'm Ross the Boss, and welcome to week 4.
Week 4.
Time is going quick. Kasey and I are working double time on the waiver wire. Things are happening. Things are moving. We're excited.
And I assume you're just saying you're working on the waiver wire because you do the Tuesday waiver wire show. I was about to go check the league and be like, did you just pick up like hundreds of different players? I don't know.
I think we're only allowed 4 players per week anyway. So
well, that's true. So you can't pick up hundreds. So let's talk about though the headlines, because every week in the NFL it changes. And what changed this week? I mean, the Miami Dolphins scored 1,000 points.
The Denver Broncos had no arms on defense. They were just running around with stumps, apparently.
And the Browns, I can't say my Browns, at least not yet. But they held the Titans to 3 points, and Derrick Henry not much at all. They kept him, moving horizontally. So what's the biggest headline for you coming out of this week? And I'm talking from a fantasy perspective.
From a fantasy perspective, I think it's the injury to Mike Williams. Again, it's injuries are going to dominate at this point when you have we're talking about big name players. Mike Williams was a high wide receiver 2 by most people drafting him, and he's gone for the season. And this is on a team where, Justin Herbert throws the ball 47 times last week. That hurts a lot of fantasy teams. So I think, the stories are how bad Dallas played against Arizona, how bad Jacksonville played against Houston, and then injuries, and how bad Denver's defense is.
Also the Jets. The Jets. What do you do with Wilson? How much more do you give him on the leash until you pull it and say, listen, you can't start anymore. Simeon, get in.
Yeah, I'm just saying, but it's not like the Simeon's going to come in and make him a winning team.
Well, New York, listen, Kasey, you know this. You're close to New York, and Dan used to live in New York. So I got you guys are good guys to talk to. The New York fans have no temperament.
No patience at all.
No patience. If their team's losing, they want to change. Sign this guy, get that guy. Is Kirk Cousins going to New York? I don't know. Kirk Cousins is leading the league as a quarterback with touchdowns right now. He's unbelievable.
Well, he's
whoever drafted him in our fantasy league is a freaking genius.
He's a genius. He talks about himself. I didn't even need to check. But there's no way the Vikings are going to deal Kirk Cousins. But
they might.
Well, no, wait, whoa! 0-3, and his contract's over this year. Why would you want to trade him?
Listen.
Why? Don't you want to get something?
Especially
for him
with the NFC North.
Only if you really think you're not going to make the playoffs at all. The Vikings
0-3,
0-3,
and have no defense.
I still, the no defense part is
pretty
hard to overcome.
Game.
Yeah. Well, did you say no running game?
Well, they have Cam Akers. They have Cam Akers now.
Cam Akers.
Did you guys not watch? Did you not see Madison's stats from last week? They were solid.
I didn't pay attention. I just
they were good. He averaged over 4 yards a carry. He looked good. So I wouldn't say that's true. Maybe they have no defense, but I think 0-3 is a little early to cash in.
Yeah, there you go.
It depends. If you're the Bears and you're 0-3, I'm cashing in right away because they're not headed anywhere. But that's another big headline.
Let's go back to the Bears. I disagree with you. I think the Bears are going to pick it up, and they'll be a better team than they are right now.
Well, yeah, they're 0-3. It's hard.
I just feel I feel they
win one game.
I feel they're going to have a winning streak. I feel they can win 2 or 3 games in a row. Okay, that's where I'm at.
I don't know. I think I really think in some ways the biggest fantasy football headline is what Justin Fields and the coach are going through there. Justin Fields is probably going to be one of the biggest busts of the year, and part of it is because the way he's interacting with his team, it's not going to be pretty. I'm not sure they're going to win a game all year, honestly. They probably will because most teams do. I think it's only happened once that a team didn't, and I won't say who it was. No, let's say who it was. It was now who was the coach? I can't even remember his name.
It was Detroit, wasn't it?
No, it was the Browns.
I thought the Lions went 0-16 one year.
I thought Tampa Bay did with John Robinson.
Tampa Bay, I think, went 0-14 back when it was a 14-game season.
Oh.
So the only team I think that went 0-16 was the Browns, and I seriously, I seriously can't even remember.
The 08 Lions went 0-16.
Really?
Yeah, I knew there was.
Yeah. I see. You have kids and you forget about these things. Okay, so but what do you do in a fantasy league? What do you do if you invested heavily in Justin Fields? Do you hang on to him?
I think I just dropped him in a league for CJ Stroud. I think this is the week. I think if you're in a super flex league, you have no choice but to hang on to him because there's no quarterbacks out there. But in a single quarterback league, if he can't put up QB1 stats against the Broncos on Sunday, the team that just gave up 350 yards rushing and 4 passing touchdowns, like, wow, historically bad defense, then he's not going to do it against anybody. He should have 80 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns, even if he's not passing the ball well this weekend.
Now, I do want to say this. I mean, it is still early. And even on a bad team, when it comes to fantasy football, he could start putting up numbers. It is certainly possible. I wouldn't be particularly comfortable about hanging on to him, though. I like to, if I was going to draft a guy like Justin Fields, I always wanted to draft a guy like Anthony Richardson or Jordan Love. Jordan Love's looking pretty good. What do you guys think about Jordan Love so far?
52% completion rate, which isn't too good. So let's not put him on a big pedestal. Jordan Love, 52%.
I'm not putting him on a huge. I'm not putting him on a huge pedestal.
But I'm saying yes. I mean, he does look good at times. I'm rooting for the guy just because Aaron Rodgers was so down on him, and I just felt he treated him like a stepchild, and I just thought it was horrible. Like the whole experience he had with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay I just felt bad for the kid. So I'm glad he's doing well. He plays tonight. He's getting his weapons back. Watson's back. Aaron Jones is back. So, and they played Detroit. That's not a great away team. So I think they have a really good shot of knocking off Detroit. And Detroit's favored too. It's unbelievable.
2.5 points. I'm going to defend Jordan Love a little bit because, he only has a 52% completion rate. But how many interceptions has he thrown? And he leads the league in air yards per attempt. So he is trying to push the ball downfield. He's not throwing the Brock Purdy 6-7 yard slants and letting his receivers do all the work. So his completion numbers may be a bit lower, but for fantasy purposes, completion percentage isn't a stat. He's throwing the ball deep. He's getting you yards. He's getting you touchdowns. So he's performing well as a fantasy quarterback.
Yeah, and he's putting up numbers. I mean, fantasy sports, it really is all about the numbers. The only reason the NFL numbers actually matter is if you're going to get benched. I mean, if he
has 1 interception, 8 touchdowns, 1 interception.
Yeah, so he's not anywhere near being benched right now anyway. And listen, he's been outperforming a lot of great quarterbacks.
No, he's been doing great. You don't have to sell me on him. I like the guy. I liked him before the season started. I said I got some shares on him, and especially in best ball. I mean, I drafted him like last round. It was great.
I've had him on every single team I've had. Unfortunately, I traded him in a couple, but I think he's going to be pretty solid. Also, he's been doing it without Christian Watson. I do wonder.
And he gets Aaron Jones back tonight, too.
Yeah, so he's getting a lot of weapons back. Now, let's do some start-sit questions for this Thursday night game, because Christian Watson is a big question for a lot of people. He is set to play from everything that I know, but I heard he's on a pitch count. Is that what you guys heard?
I heard the same thing. I probably wouldn't start him unless I have as a wide receiver 3 or flex. I'd certainly start him, but I wouldn't start him if I'm hoping for wide receiver 1 or 2 numbers out of him, because Dobbs has been great. Jaden Reed's been good. Luke Musgrave has been awesome. And I think Detroit's numbers, if you look at their numbers, they're one of the worst teams against the tight end in the league. And so I don't think it's going to be a huge Christian Watson game. I think you're going to see Aaron Jones. So if he's only running 30 routes, in the game, or 28 routes in the game, and he sees 5 targets, 6 targets.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I'll say though is if you're in a pretty desperate spot, like let's say you're playing.
Oh, you could do worse if it's desperate.
Because if you're in a desperate spot, he also is he could be a big boom. Now, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I think if you've got a handful of options and you're thinking, oh, maybe I'll play, let's say you're thinking maybe I'll play AJ Dillon. I would not play AJ Dillon over Christian Watson.
I would drop AJ Dillon.
I'm starting to think about it.
I mean, that guy.
Guys, in all seriousness, Dobbs is going to have a big game. You'll see Romeo be the guy. Watson's going to be the decoy. He'll stretch the field, and we'll see Dobbs have 9 or 10 targets at least, and have at least 1 touchdown. And you heard from me first, Ross the Boss.
I think what's cool about tonight is it's, we have talked for the 3 or 4 years we've been doing the show about rookie tight ends and how you can't trust a rookie tight end.
Yep.
And here you have Sam Laporta, the number 2 ranked tight end in football, and Luke Musgrave, who's been playing great also. He hasn't gotten into the end zone yet, I don't think, but he's been playing great. I mean, these guys could be 2 Rookie of the Year candidates going against each other tonight. I think that's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, Sam Laporta, I mean, I think he's going to have a touchdown, have over 60 yards at least. I mean, fantasy-wise, you got to start him immediately. I agree with you, Kasey. He's a good one.
The interesting thing about him is he's only playing 40% of his team's offensive plays, and he's putting those numbers up. Imagine if they put him in there for 60, 70%, what his numbers could be like.
Yeah,
well, I heard he's not in shape. I heard he can only go out there for half the game because he runs out of gas. It's made that up.
Did you actually?
I know you did.
I made that up. It's a rumor.
He actually fooled me. Spread rumors. That's what Ross likes to do.
Yeah.
No, I mean, there's always going to be exceptions to the rules, but it really is true because we've talked about rookie tight ends are not things that we usually bank on. But we got 2 of them looking really good. We'll track it throughout the season. We've got a question coming in. This is from AS. He or she says, need 3. Okay, it's 0.5 PPR. Christian Watson, Amari Cooper, Zay Flowers, Godwin, and Hopkins. Got to pick 3. Okay, and then he says, also, I just traded Fields plus Johnston for Anthony Richardson. Ooh, I like that. I like that deal, except that, with Mike Williams out, it's interesting. Maybe Johnston's going to have much more.
Well, Johnston has more, but I think, and we talked about this on Tuesday, I think Palmer is probably going to get the first crack.
Listen, if you've really lost full confidence in Fields, which a lot of people have, I think it's a solid deal. It depends on how deep your bench is. Let's return to the question at hand, though, and see if we can get him some help. Got to pick 3. Christian Watson, I'm going to rule out because I do think that he's a decoy.
Oh, okay.
But Zay Flowers, I think you start. I think
that's
Amari Cooper, you would start. You know what? This is tough, actually.
I'm not starting Hopkins against Cincinnati. I mean, the guy hasn't found the end zone yet. He's been held under 50 yards in 2 straight games.
Actually, you know what?
Tampa Bay is playing New Orleans, correct? I would start Godwin. I think Godwin, Flowers,
Flowers, and Cooper
are the way to go. Yeah.
Yeah, but you guys probably know this, but Ross, you hate the Tampa Bay passing.
I hated them before I saw them play, so I'm going to correct myself a little bit. I haven't seen this was before the season started. Now, I mean, I love Baker Mayfield. I don't know if I would have started him in fantasy, but I root for him. And I have Evans, as you know, in one of our leagues. So I root for Evans.
And Lattimore, if you followed the Bucs Saints rivalry over the years, Lattimore and Evans come to blows, and they look forward to playing each other because of the competitiveness. So all the focus is going to be on Mike Evans. They're going to put Lattimore on him, which
there you go.
I think opens up Godwin pretty well because you're not going to run on New Orleans front 7. You're just not.
So let me say one thing though, because this is a strategy show. I just want to note something Ross did. I'm going to give you some props, Ross. You got to correct yourself. If you can't stick to your guns and say, no, I said this, so I've got to stick with it. If you see something on the field that's different, adjust. You got to keep.
Yeah, I mean, Evans is a top 10 receiver right now. I mean,
I would still rank him as a top 10 receiver this week, but I'm worried with Lattimore being on him the whole week.
No, I said then Evans is a top 10 receiver going into week 4 overall.
Oh, yeah. Right. Yeah, but still, I like that you're adjusting, and I'm just making the point.
You got to. I mean, you got to make adjustments, or you're going to lose your league. I mean, look at C.J. Stroud. None of us had him in the top 20 as a quarterback, and now he's averaging 300 yards a game, and he has not thrown a pick yet. And I mean, for me, he's the greatest Ohio State quarterback in the past 30 years. I mean, there's no one better than him right now. That went to Ohio State playing quarterback. Kasey, don't correct me. And don't correct me. Don't say Art Schlichter.
Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow went to LSU, and that's where he got his degree from. Doesn't count. Doesn't count. Nope, doesn't count. Kasey,
you know what? I'm gonna rule on behalf of Ross here. I agree. I think Joe Burrow doesn't actually count, but I like the technicality. AS notes he has Cooper Kupp as well, so that'll help later. But then here's the question, the follow-up question: why do you think Watson is a decoy? Let's answer this.
He hasn't played all season. He hasn't played. He's not in shape.
Okay, but that's not why I think he's a decoy.
Decoy might not be the right word. I don't think Jordan Love.
I said decoy. I'll stand by decoy.
So I think a decoy in a sense that he's going to pull a safety to his side of the field, which is going to open up the middle of the field for Jaden Reed or Luke Musgrave.
That's strategic. Is that really a decoy?
That's what I mean. I don't think it's necessarily decoy is the right word, but I know what he's implying.
Yeah, I think a decoy is when they really aren't healthy enough to really provide anything, but they're on the field.
Yeah, I just think first came back. He won't give him too many targets so he doesn't get hit. He'll be on a pitch count like Kasey said, and you know what? I just feel Dobbs is going to be the man tonight for Green Bay.
I'm going to go.
And I'll live by it. I mean, you got to in fantasy, you got to take you got to get the script and you got to think this is how the game is going to go, or you're going to lose. And I think Dobbs is going to have a big game. On the other side of the ball, I really think that Laporta is going to have a great game. I mean, that's where I'm going with the tight end. I mean,
I'm jumping back to this question. I'm jumping back to this question because I've changed my mind because I think I don't love Godwin or Hopkins. So I would probably just start Christian Watson. It's like I said.
Go ahead.
And so we'll see. Next week we'll compare.
This game's going to be a low-scoring game. It's going to be. I know there's no frozen Trunda yet, but it's going to be a low-scoring game like it's been the past 3 games.
Well, listen, Christian Watson was set to score 3 touchdowns this game until I predicted that he would do well. Now he'll do nothing. So I apologize.
Change it. Okay, got it.
All right, Ryan Kennedy says start 1 full PPR flex. Here's the list. Christian Watson. Start one in full PPR flex. Christian Watson, Marquise Brown, Najee Harris, Cam Akers, bank on Saquon Barkley playing.
Did he get into practice today? I haven't checked.
And do you have ankle sprain? I don't count on that. I mean,
it's very hard to count on.
I mean, I was in school with you guys when you guys were going to becoming doctors, and I know a high ankle sprain is it doesn't recover that quick.
To me, there's one that jumps out at me as the obvious. Just myself. Hollywood Brown. Yeah.
Hollywood, main target.
I just think he's got a pretty safe floor. I mean,
you want to hear something funny, guys? The Phoenix Cardinals. Everybody said they're going to tank the season. They'll be 0-16. I'm included in that speech.
Are they now going by the Phoenix Cardinals again?
Well, I go back and forth, but
all right.
They could have been easily 3-0. Kasey Scheinfeld. They came back and
I'm sorry, Saquon.
Arizona Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals. They could easily be 3-0 right now.
Yeah, but they couldn't. They couldn't contain that Giants offense.
I know. I'm just saying that.
Danny Dimes down fire in the second half. It's the only 2 quarters of football he's played well this year.
Kasey. I was just waiting for Kasey to wake up. We just poked the bear. There you go.
I'm just saying. If I had to pick one of those,
Hollywood.
Wow, it would probably be Hollywood Brown because it's a full point PPR. Because Barkley, even if he's playing, is not going to play his
he's not playing
cell count numbers of carries.
I mean, I agree with Kasey. Also, the full PPR makes a big difference here. I mean, Hollywood Brown is going to get a fair amount of targets. He's got a really good.
And Josh Dobbs has been a good quarterback.
Oh yeah,
it's pretty crazy.
So he has a horrible hairline, but you know what? He can throw a football and he can run.
Before you say that, he has alopecia. So let's be
honest. I didn't know, Kasey. Okay, sorry I said that.
Thank you for sticking up for him. I actually didn't even know that, but I'm glad we're reporting that.
Thank you, Kasey, for ruining the whole party. Great. Okay.
Yeah.
I want you to feel like shame.
Kasey Downer. All right. Chris Atwater says Lattimore. That was from way back in the conversation. Sorry we're getting to you so late on that, Chris. But he loves those kind of battles. Was Lattimore an Alabama guy? Is that what's happening here?
No, LSU.
But he's a New Orleans Saint.
Into LSU, I think, right?
There we go.
Is that where you went?
That does sound familiar. Okay. All right. Sports Spotlight says start 3, 1 wide receiver slot, 1 running back slot, and 1 flex. Aaron Jones, Kyren Williams, Romeo Dobbs, Marquise Brown, Christian Kirk, and Zay Flowers.
Whoa.
Okay.
Now, who are the Rams playing?
The Rams, I have no idea.
I will tell you. Hold on, I have it right here.
Aaron Jones tonight's going to get some carries. He's going to be carrying the ball.
I like Aaron Jones tonight.
I love Romeo Dobbs. So I'm taking the 2 Green Bay guys immediately. Kareem Williams last week will be nothing. I mean, he was horrible last week. The week before, he was good.
This is terrible for ratings, but I completely agree.
But who are the Rams playing? That's a great question.
I just said, and now I forgot. The Rams are playing the Colts.
Oh, in game script, I think would be good for Kyren Williams. I still would start Aaron Jones and Romeo Dobbs.
There you go.
Kasey, do you want to weigh in?
3. Who's the third?
Oh, right. Flex.
I go Aaron Jones, Romeo Dobbs, and Zay Flowers.
There you go.
Or Marquise Brown.
I mean, you guys aren't tempted at all by Kyren Williams.
I'm tempted.
Especially if this isn't PPR, like,
yeah.
I just would start Aaron Jones because it's a Thursday night game.
No, Aaron Jones and Romeo Doubs, I think all three of us agreed on, actually. We're looking for that flex, Ross.
Although,
I know. That's why I said Zay Flowers.
1 second. The more I think about it, do I want of 3 players to be 2 from the Green Bay Packers if I'm not predicting a high-scoring game?
Yes, you do.
But are you predicting ours? I mean, Ross didn't, but
I don't know. I think it's Thursday night games to be that like
sloppy.
They're always slop fests.
So
I mean, yeah.
Ooh, interesting. I might do Aaron Jones, Kyron Williams, and then either Hollywood Brown or Zay Flowers.
Even in a slop fest, I think Aaron Jones and Romeo Doubs are good to go. And I probably would go Zay Flowers as the flex. Ross, was that what you said?
Yeah, I like Zay Flowers. I think this guy's a real star. If you have a chance to start him every week. They're trying to get him the ball. I watched the Baltimore game when they were tied and they were trying to score. They try to get the ball to Zay Flowers, so that tells you something. So there you go.
All right, Alex says Fields or Love.
All you need is love.
And I was thinking of Strawberry Fields because
Strawberry Fields forever.
We both had that on the mind.
All you need is love.
I'm going Jordan Love myself.
I'm going to go
sing it, Case. Sing it. You got to sing it. You can't tell us you got to sing it.
No, I don't. I'm going to go with Justin Fields because
no, I don't.
Strawberry Fields forever
was prolifically bad, right? Jordan Love is going against Detroit, who had 7 sacks last week. Yeah, and it's his first real primetime game as a starter. It's a prime, national TV audience primetime. First home start. There's a lot of reasons for him to come out jittery or jumpy. And I just think Justin Fields is going to run for 70 yards and 2 touchdowns, 80 yards and 2 touchdowns. And if he chips in 1 in the air, suddenly he's a QB1. So I would go Fields.
Ross, you're on board with that.
Who's the Bears? Remind me of the Bears. What's their matchup this Sunday?
They're matched up with a team that's better than them.
The Denver Broncos.
There we go.
Not much better. Yeah, I would take Fields. I would take Fields after Denver gave up 70 points last week. I think that's
right.
I think it's a good matchup.
You can't correct that in 1 week.
Go ahead. No, you can't.
Knowing that Fields is matched up against the Broncos after what the Dolphins did last week.
After the ball boy beat them, gave up 70 points. It's embarrassing.
Yeah. No, I was leaning Love, and you guys convinced me. I'm gonna go with
I think Fields. That's a good pickup case.
Okay, Chris Atwater says, do you try to add Najee at this point at a discount price or just give up on him? But he's talking about Dynasty, just to be clear.
Okay, Dynasty.
That's a little bit different.
I still don't.
I wouldn't.
I think Najee's career is over. That's what I said at the beginning of the season. I said, guys, Warren's job. I think Warren's job by week 7.
He's essential. I mean, look, if Leonard Fournette can't find a job right now, and he's only 26 or 27 and was much more productive the last 2 years, you think Najee's got a future to go up? I don't see it. I don't think he's going to be the starting running back. Ross is on the record saying by like week 5, I think.
Yeah, those predictions are looking quite good.
And once he's not the starter, like he's going to be a career number 2, and that's not worth it in Dynasty for a running back.
Actually, I mean, it could be even worse case. I mean, you say he's a career number 2, but these career number 2 guys, they end up out of the NFL in like a year and a half.
And as you always are famous for saying in Dynasty, don't target running backs until you're ready to win.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
And so running backs have to be the guys that push you over the edge. In Dynasty, Najee Harris is never going to be the guy that puts you over the top.
And not only that, if you're in Dynasty, speaking to that, are you ready to perform now? If you're not ready to perform now, it's only going to get worse with running backs. So
isn't he averaging like under 2 yards a carry, guys? I mean, it's like some crazy number.
It's certainly
Najee Harris is a guy that I would not want on my team.
So let me ask you this from a Dynasty perspective. Is Jaylen Warren worth pursuing as a long-term asset?
Yes. Absolutely.
And what are you seeing in him that's making you say that? Aside from the role.
People forget, this kid was a 5-star recruit to Alabama as a running back out of high school. He just happened to be there when Brian Robinson and I forget who the other guy was who were there. So he couldn't. So he went to. Oh no, I'm not thinking of crap. I'm thinking of Foreman, not Foreman. Who's the kid on Cleveland?
Jerome Ford?
Jerome Ford.
Jerome Ford, who went to University of Cincinnati.
Are you thinking of Steve Slayton?
That's right.
I love Steve Slayton. I love that story. It's my favorite.
But Jaylen Warren has just looked like a more dynamic runner when he has the ball. He's got burst, he's got speed, he's got cuts. Like
the crazy thing about Dynasty, though, is it goes so fast, and you've got to get your value while you can. So if you're invested in Jaylen Warren, wait till he becomes good and keep him for like a season and a half at most.
And the beauty of Dynasty, if we're talking Dynasty, is he can sit at the bottom of your bench for 3 years.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like a redraft league where you have 17 weeks or 16 weeks to change your roster over almost entirely if you're struggling.
Chris was talking about a half-point PPR, just in case people were not clear on that, or in case we were.
Najee's a no-go.
Najee was great in PPR when Ben Roethlisberger was the quarterback, because Ben Roethlisberger couldn't throw it past the wide receiver. He had no arm strength left and no shoulder to throw with. And so Najee would catch 8 balls a game and get numbers as a PPR. He's never been a yards per average guy.
Well, let me ask you guys a question also. Like, when's the last time we saw a running back start to go downhill and then they came back like huge and became, an excellent running back? I can't remember a time. Like, once they go downhill, they're gone. I don't remember anybody coming back.
The shelf life on running backs, guys, is very short. There's not many comebacks when they're 30 years old. There's not guys like that.
Their comebacks were injury related. If it's just because...
Oh, yeah, injury related, I'm not counting.
Right.
I mean, look at Henry. I mean,
Henry's almost 30.
I know. That's what I'm saying. He's hitting that Logan's Run age. And
well,
when he hits that age,
he's never declined.
Not good.
He's never declined. Of course, he's going to. Everybody does. But
this year
he's in the back. He's in the back nine. He's in the back nine.
Well, he's well on the back nine, but he's still performing.
He has the worst offensive line in football. He's averaging less than 2 yards a carry or 2.5 yards a carry.
He's not.
So when people drafted him
more
than he's
on
the back nine. Yeah, you're saying even more than he's on the back nine. I mean, should people be investing in Sharp? Like, are we at that point?
Tyjae Spears, you mean?
Oh, Spears.
Yes, I have. I've picked him up on a couple rosters, just because I would also look into picking up Will Levis in a I mean, if you can get Will Levis on the cheap in a dynasty league, now's the time to do it.
He'll be starting soon. And the Bengals play Tennessee this week, and I think Tennessee is going to beat them.
Is terrible. He's a shell of himself, which is another reason why DeAndre Hopkins is such a
waste.
They decided to take old, failing veterans and put them together to make a big three.
Yeah. Old failing veterans, not the recipe.
No. Damian Lillard. Sorry.
We're going to talk about, we'll talk basketball some other time.
What sport is that?
Especially if we want to make Kasey pass out. So Ryan Kennedy says, thanks. This was in, look at the time. I got to be going. He wanted to thank us for the recommendation. I think we all recommended Hollywood Brown. Hope that helps you out, Ryan. Okay. Chris Atwater then says, Lattimore is an Ohio State product.
Very true.
Interesting. I had forgotten that.
I have too. I thought it was LSU. I don't know.
Now, Chris Atwater is saying, I'm not ready to win. I like the self-awareness there, Chris. That's good. So Najee Harris, even more.
Look, Chris, if you can get Najee Harris for like $20 of your fab budget, maybe it's worth it, because I've never used it.
Okay. And he was asking, do you try to add Najee? The question I have is, what do you do if you already have him? What do you sell him for?
Well, I think you hope he has a good week in the next 2 weeks, and then you quickly try to sell the narrative that he's back and flip him.
So let me ask this question. This is a different kind of question because this is a young running back, but Rachaad White had a great week 2 weeks ago. Then I got trade offers for him, and I was like, it's exactly what you said, Kasey. They waited for a great week. His next week wasn't that good, but my question is this. Is Rachaad White going to be good or not?
Rachaad White is an inefficient runner if you look at his numbers. Like but he's a high volume guy. Tampa Bay doesn't have anybody else to give the ball to. And so in a redraft league, I'm going to hold on to him because he'll go up against some soft defenses. This weekend, I wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole. New Orleans is great against the run. And the Tampa Bay offensive line is just not very good. But Rachaad White where did he go to college?
He went to this unbelievable school called Arizona State. It's this unbelievable
institution.
Unbelievable, Kasey. Unbelievable. Rachaad White, yes. Volume, yes. But you're right.
But no, he's not efficient. He's not going to wow you.
Absolutely not.
So is he going to lose his job after this year?
No, he's not going to lose his job.
It depends who they can get. I mean, if they draft.
Did you see that? I think we almost got a rant out of Ross. He got very angry about that. He couldn't even get the rant going. He was so mad.
Back in my day.
All right, so let's talk about this, guys. We're 4 weeks into the season.
Yep.
Or 3 weeks into the season, I suppose. This is the fourth
we're 25 after this weekend. We're practically 25% of the way. We're over 25% of the way through fantasy season.
Right. So this is a strategy show, and you've got to assess your teams.
Okay.
This is a good time, I think, to assess, like, especially if you're in a keeper or a dynasty league, you've got to assess, am I a contender or not? In a redraft league, you've got to assess, how am I going to compete? Because there is no next year. You got to compete this year. I mean, there is a next year, but not with this team. So what are you guys doing when you're looking at your teams? How do you assess? Mostly
crying, weeping.
I think,
blubbering.
The things I look at, and it's when I do a similar thing when I'm looking at the waiver wire. If I have somebody who's underperforming, let's say I have Justin Fields, can I find reasons outside of his control that he's underperforming? Is it because, his offensive line is terrible? His team leads the league in drops or tipped interceptions, all of that stuff. Like, are his numbers his fault? Is he running as much as he has in the past? Because if you remember from week 6 on last year, he was the quarterback 4 or 5 for the season, but that was because he was suddenly running for 80 to 100 yards a game and scoring touchdowns. Is he not running at the same rate? Are they not moving him outside the pocket? Is it a scheme issue? But I think at this point with somebody like him, when you look at the numbers, I just don't think he's a very good NFL quarterback right now.
Well, here's another way of saying more generally what you were on point about there. You have to assess, are the guys who are playing badly going to continue playing badly? And are the guys who are playing well going to continue playing well? I mean, is Keenan Allen going to keep doing what he's doing? Has Devin Achane arrived as, that kind of running back? Is Mostert going to have value? I think you guys talked about this in the waiver wire show, but what do we do with Joe Burrow? A lot of teams invest heavily in him, and he's just not putting up the numbers so far. And the question is that going to continue? So how?
Yeah, I mean, Burrow's just awful. I wish I had another word to say, but it's not. He can't throw deep. He can't move out of the pocket. It's
all the cap, right?
Higgins is dropping balls on purpose. I'm convinced. He dropped 3 balls on Sunday that I saw that were easy.
Why is he dropping them on purpose?
Because he wants out of Cincinnati. They're not giving him a long-term contract. They're very clear with that. They're not giving him the money. They're not showing them money, Kasey Scheinfeld. What movie quick is that? Jerry Maguire. Kasey had no idea what it was.
Oh, my God. You didn't even show me that. Rod Tidwell. There, I showed you my knowledge there.
Yeah, there you go. I like that. So, Tom Cruise. But all that being said,
the goldfish.
Actually, it was Cuba Gooding Jr., but go ahead.
Joe Burrow, to me, his value went down. I'm so happy I don't have him in any league. I didn't take him in any leagues this year.
That's shoplifting the pootie.
That's right.
But
meanwhile,
again, I'd rather have C.J. Stroud than Burrow this year. How about that? I said it.
Wow.
Yeah.
How about that, Kasey Scheinfeld?
I don't. Yeah. The concern is if you are convinced that Burrow's calf is not going to heal during the season because he's continuing to play, then that hampers a lot of his ability to drive his passes. It might be affecting his accuracy. Who knows? But Burrow has 2 elite wide receivers, a very good running back, and his 3rd wide receiver, Boyd, is no slouch either. So I haven't checked the numbers on their offensive line if they're doing well or not. Whereas CJ Stroud, Tank Dell has been awesome. Nico Hollins has been good. Yes. Dalton Schultz has been terrible. He's absolutely droppable, by the way. Damian Pierce, meh. So I would probably, if I look at it that way, I'd rather have Burrow going forward because I'm going to bet on the track record that he figures it out.
That's fine.
I agree with you both in a weird way because I think Ross is right that Burrow's not right this year, and I just don't think it's going to get better. However, if you had to take your chances, I understand leaning towards the higher upside pick.
The quarterback I would target right now is Trevor Lawrence.
Because he's underperforming so far.
Underperforming
terrible
horribly.
So far. 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions on the
season. Do you guys know anyone who drafted Trevor Lawrence over Justin Herbert? Because I do. Right here. Right here.
This guy.
And then
I got to tell you something. In our Dynasty League that we did this year, I was all set to take Joe Burrow. I'm just being honest. And the guy before me took Burrow, so I was forced to take Hurts. And
congratulations.
So
I think it was the other way around, Ross. Are you sure?
100%. 100%. I never forget. 100%.
He's right.
Because I was predicting you would take Burrow, and you
went. No, but the guy before me took Burrow.
Oh no! You know why? I thought that? It's because the guy who took Burrow is actually an Eagles fan.
Yeah.
It was crazy. He's an Eagles fan. You're a Bengals fan. I'm like, it's going to go Hurts.
And
Burrow.
he took Burrow, and I was like, maybe he did me a favor. I was like, all ready to press it, and he, what are you doing?
Yeah, but it's Dynasty. You still want Burrow in Dynasty. But
Hurts is younger. Why don't you want Hurts? Hurts is younger than Burrow.
Yeah, although running quarterbacks, do they last?
Running quarterbacks don't usually last as long.
I mean, I like Burrow in the long run over that. Now,
Hurts
meanwhile,
is a big dude.
I just want to acknowledge something. I did this by mistake, but I left up. Look, Chris Atwater's "I'm not ready to win" has been up there for like 7 minutes.
Keep it up there for the
everybody to know that Chris Atwater is not.
I'm not ready. Who says that in a fantasy football league that they're not ready to win?
Wait, hold on. This is a dynasty league.
But week 4, he's already putting the towel in. That's
don't listen to him. You're right.
That's the New Orleans Saints mentality. I'm not ready to win.
No, he built a team not ready to win. He drafted.
But then he traded away all his draft picks.
Well,
he drafted Stroud. He drafted Young. He drafted all these young. I know
it was Anthony Richardson and Bryce Young.
But he traded Bryce. Young.
He got Stroud too.
He traded Bryce Young for Stroud.
No, he didn't.
Okay.
No, I traded Stroud for Bryce Young straight up with.
Oh, okay. Bryce Young has been passed around like a
hot
bag
potato.
Of chips. A hot potato. Okay, Chris Atwater says me versus Fish Keg. This is also in our Dynasty League. In the battle of suck this week. One of us is going to 0-8, and the other is going to 1-7. Should be amazing theater. By the way, this is where you play not only the team.
Maybe they could tie.
Well, let's explain this to the viewers, though.
They could both be 0-7 and 1.
You get 2 decisions every week because you play against league median. I just want to make sure people understand that. Otherwise, people are going to think Chris is crazy saying he's going to go 0-8 going into week 4. Meanwhile, he's got the popcorn out. All right. Isaiah Rodriguez says, should I start Aaron Jones today?
Yes.
Depending on who else you have. Yes.
That's the thing. I would lean towards yes, but I want to know more about your roster and what your options are.
I doubt he has anybody. I would like to see it. I guarantee that.
Well, I also think if you're talking about a Thursday game, the one position I'm more comfortable starting is running back. A starting running back is going to get a lot of volume. And meanwhile, AJ Dillon has just downright sucked.
He's been terrible.
And
Jones is prolific in the passing game also, so he gives you both.
And
yes, I think there's very few people you'd end up sitting Aaron Jones for.
And I think if Green Bay wants to win, I think Jones has to have a big game. I really do.
Yep. All right. Chris Atwater says, I tried to trade up for Hurts. Not pulling off that deal completely changed my approach. I remember you trying that, and he was stuck at, I think, number 8 or something when Anthony Richardson. Okay, Albert Merriquin, good to see you. Thoughts on Alvin Kamara this week?
Fat, slow, droppable, horrible.
I mean, he was suspended for 3 weeks. So he wasn't even allowed to practice with the team. So I have my doubts. Now, Jamal Williams is IR, so obviously Kamara's going to come in as the number 1. And
how about Tony Jones? You know where he went to school, don't you?
I don't know.
Notre Dame. He went to Notre Dame.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Ross is the king of knowing where people are.
Little Notre Dame. I just want to throw that in there. But Kamara last year, guys, he looked so out of shape and fat and slow. He wasn't the Kamara that I'm used to. I'm just throwing it out there. I mean, he was horrible last year, and I don't see him getting better this year. So my thoughts on Kamara are downhill.
What did you say, Case?
Look at Isaiah Rodriguez's bench at the bottom of the chat.
All right. Well, I'll get to that in 1 second, but
I would wait on Kamara. I would want to see what he does. I wouldn't put him immediately.
Again, though, I think it depends on team context. So, Albert, maybe tell us what options you have, because you could end up.
I'm expecting
a roster
3 or 4 receptions for 30 yards and maybe 30 to 40.
I'm not expecting much, and I think the ceiling is pretty low and the floor is 0.
Is Derek Carr playing?
Probably not.
I don't believe he's going to be playing.
Odds are very low that he's playing, Case.
All right, now let's get to Isaiah Rodriguez. Albert, we can answer more questions, but give us some team context if you want more on that. Okay. You guys are going to be shocked. I have Kyron, Ridley, Puka, and James Cook on my bench.
On your bench?
This is the Aaron Jones question.
I'm starting Kyron and James Cook, I think, this week over. Well, no, maybe not over Aaron Jones. I'm starting.
I'm starting James Cook against Miami. That's for sure a start, because that's
James Cook is a start. Ridley,
James Cook's a touchdown.
Ridley, I think has to be your start this week because
But we haven't even heard his starting lineup.
I know Calvin Ridley's had a bad 2 weeks, but they're going against Atlanta. And what's the revenge narrative Remember, Calvin Ridley got suspended and benched and had all his mental health issues.
Oh no,
with
he's going to
Atlanta.
want to burn them bad.
I think he's going to
made
want to
some
burn
bad
them. And
bets on his phone.
I think Trevor Lawrence is going to gladly force feed him the ball all day.
Okay, but here's the question for Isaiah. If these are the people on his bench, who's starting?
Who's your second running back?
And also, like, how many teams are in the league?
Because I say a little advice. You start Puka every game.
But the truth is, if you look at his bench, it's stacked. But
Puka, why isn't these guys starting?
Was an end of the draft guy. Kyron Williams was probably a waiver wire ad. James Cook, you could get in round 8. So Ridley and Aaron Jones were his only 2 high draft picks.
Who is his 2 other? I'd love to see his other 2 receivers instead of Puka.
That's like, to me.
Is it Jefferson and Chase? Is that who he has?
Oh, here he lists.
Is it a 2-man league?
Well, he had 2-man league. All right, he has C-Mac, Derrick Henry, Keenan Allen,
and Amon-Ra.
Okay, I'm
just curious. How many people?
Now, Isaiah, you have a team. Derrick Henry, we're not jealous of.
But this must be a 10
start,
maybe even an 8-team league. Look,
I think 6.
CMC and
6-team league,
and St. Brown should be a
14 league. I'm down.
He says it's a 10-team league.
Yeah.
Okay. Are the other people? Are they all non-football players?
Nice. Ross.
I just said, are they non-football fans? That's all.
But
why is that bad?
You understand why he's asking, should I start Aaron Jones? He's already got C-Mac and Derrick Henry. You're not going to sit them.
You're not starting Derrick Henry.
You start
Henry. Derrick Henry.
Not starting Derrick Henry.
No way. Against Cincinnati this week? No way.
There's no way I would bench Derrick Henry.
I would start Aaron Jones.
You be the voice of reason here.
I would start Derrick Henry over Cincinnati's horrible, guys. I wish I could say something better.
You cannot sit Derrick Henry at all.
Derrick Henry's a must start.
I'm just going to say, I said Hunter Henry was going to have a better week than who was the tight end a few weeks ago that Ross
Mark
was
Andrews.
all over? No, it was like Dalton Schultz or something. And I was like,
Schultz, I don't think that was me.
I forget who it was. Hunter Henry.
CMC, Keenan Allen's a must start. St. Brown's a must start.
Yeah, I mean, so he listed to me 4 must start. Kasey would sit Derrick Henry. I think that's crazy. There's no way. Derrick Henry had 1 bad game, and the Browns, by the way, I'm not saying I'm a fan again. However, their defense looks ferocious so far. What that means is there's going to be 3 injuries next week.
Isaiah, what's your record? Who's your quarterback and who is? And it's a
10-team league, so he's got to have a great quarterback also.
Look, here's your your 1 bad game you're talking about. First game of the season against New Orleans, Derrick Henry, 15 carries for 63 yards, 2 receptions. Second game, 25 carries for 80 yards and a touchdown, but that's 3.2. That's what, 3 yards a carry, 3.2.
I don't care. 25 carries, I'll take it.
And last week, 11 carries for 20 yards.
But that's his bad game. He's going to bounce.
Last week, first of all, we got to throw out. Game script went away from him. The Browns looked actually ferocious on defense. I would not count that. However, I've seen Derrick Henry enough to know you never sit Derrick Henry until he falls off a cliff.
Bounce game at home against
Derrick
Cincinnati.
Henry is capable. He's capable of running for like 200 yards.
He'll be a top 5 running back, Kasey, this week. Top 5. You heard it from me first.
This will be interesting.
Oh my gosh!
Either Kasey's going to get to gloat
again,
or Ross and I will. We'll see.
We'll see on Tuesday. We'll see. Tuesday,
all right.
1 o'clock.
Chris Atwater says, "I think Kamara has lost a step. Sad but true.
Lost a step. He lost everything.
Yep.
Except his weight."
Chris Atwater then says, "Every game we win this year will be because of Shaheed, Olave, and the defense."
Yes.
That sounds about right to me. That's where the talent
is. And Derek Carr. You got to put Derek Carr. Well, now Jameis Winston in there.
Sure. All right. Because of reasons. I love that name, by the way. That's awesome. Because of reasons. Okay. Flex start. Gibbs tonight or Lockett versus the New York Giants. 0.5 PPR. I'm going Gibbs.
Ooh.
And Lockett's playing Sunday night or Monday night?
Monday night.
See, Ross's rule is Monday night. You always start the guy that plays Monday night. That's Ross's
do it over
rule.
Gibbs? Well, I guess Montgomery is set to play.
And Gibbs is only getting how many touches a game right now?
Yeah, but it is.
I would start
PPR.
Lockett. I would start Lockett against the
Gibbs.
weak Giants defense. The weak Giants defense that let Dobbs run all over them.
I don't trust Lockett very much, and I think Gibbs has a lot of. I think he's got a lot of.
He doesn't get the ball. They don't hand the ball off to him. He gets like 10 handoffs a game and gets the ball.
17 carries
You're saying that,
week.
but we don't really know what Gibbs is going to do. That's going to evolve over time.
It's going to be a low-scoring game in Green Bay tonight, guys. Come on.
You don't know
the thing is about this. It's all about hope and faith. You're down 10 points and you need a touchdown by Lockett on Monday night. You have that. You have that hope on Monday night.
This is one thing I love about Ross.
The hope.
Listen, Ross, you're such a great fan because you're like, what would I just like to watch?
What's the storyline I want?
You're not even necessarily about how's it going to win. You're just like, I want to enjoy the moment. I love that.
Monday night. You have all these problems at work and you want to get away from it.
Well, listen, this is
all you have is fantasy football. It's all you got in your life.
You know what?
That's all I have.
Ross is saying Lockett because of reasons.
Because of reasons. And
I'm
saying
Lockett
because of other reasons.
First. Lockett will have a touchdown and 80 yards. How about that?
This is why I'm very happy to be starting Jordan Love and Romeo Doubs in another league.
Love it.
I don't know if I should start Christian Watson also because
stay away from Watson tonight.
But
don't do it.
Now Chris Atwater says Jahmyr Gibbs could turn into the OPY.
Yes, he could. He could also turn into Mr. Clean.
Well, that's probably not going to happen. All right, guys, this has been a great show. I'm loving it. We got another week of football coming up. We have our survivor pool going. I don't know who you guys picked. We'll find out soon.
My pick, San Francisco 49ers.
Oh, that's who I picked also.
I went with the Cincinnati Bengals.
Ooh,
I would not. Kasey,
wow.
Don't do it. Kasey.
Don't do it. Do not go in there.
Please, I beg you, don't do it. I beg you.
Ross and I are.
I beg you.
You said Arizona could have been 3-0, and they're playing San Francisco. I think San Francisco.
No, San Francisco at home. You know what Purdy's record is at home? You know what it is?
It's very good.
His record is good everywhere.
Yeah, he hasn't lost at all, right?
No,
it's true. His record is actually good everywhere.
His name is his name is Brock Montana. That's his name.
That's Ross's name for him, and we've adopted it on this show because we love Ross.
He's awesome.
All right, guys, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for watching. We will be here the same time next week. That's every Thursday, 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 1:30 p.m. Pacific. Tune in on Tuesdays at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific for Kasey and Ross for the Waiver Wire. Fantasy strategy show on Thursdays, as I said, 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 1:30 p.m. Pacific. We will be back next week. Thank you so much for watching.